Good afternoon, beautiful spirit. Abel Aum here with Abel Spirit to me. Aham Abel Aum pranayamatma soham hansaha swaha, which of course means I am a breathing spirit, spark of the universe, one who controls life force energy. That I am that, I surrender. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a really long time since I've done any videos, but I have been recently very inspired by some people that are very close to me who are making big changes in their lives, and they're reaching out for helpful tips, advice on how to transition faster and easier. So I'm very excited about today's video, and I want to talk to you guys about a few things that will make your journey more pleasant and hopefully manifest what you want faster. So to jump right in, a lot of people that are close to me are changing into healthy lifestyle right now for a number of reasons. Maybe they're unhappy with some aspect of their life, and now happens to be the time to correct it. I myself have found myself in that position as well. A lot of things have changed in the last month, and we'll get to my results in a bit. But my favorite quote ever is that fasting fixes everything. And I can give you a lot of examples of how that's true for me and for others. But let's talk about breatharianism versus fasting. I made a video years ago. It was a PowerPoint presentation, and it was talking about how to become breatharian. If you're interested in the subject, I'm going to leave a link down below. You can click on that PowerPoint. A lot of good stuff in there. But let's talk about the subject in real time right now. Let's talk about science first of all. So, they say that science is the enemy of religion, and that is probably true due to dogma in many religions, but I don't believe that science is the enemy of spirituality. I think they go hand in hand very well, and hopefully spirituality will be considered science over time. I believe in a lot of aspects it already is. So, what is breatharianism? It is a process of changing your belief system to rid yourself of limiting beliefs. Science also does this. In science, we try to disprove theories that limit our beliefs. Now, there are many techniques to change your belief system. In my experience, they all involve changing some deep-rooted subconscious programming. This involves different aspects of your whole being, and it is popularly described as different bodies, like your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, and your spiritual body. I mentioned 4 bodies here, which correspond to the 4 different directions, north, south, east, and west. And there are many obscure references to this in spirituality as well that go too deep for this video. However, let's just suffice it to say that there's a lot of correlation with chakras and what aspect of your entire being each chakra represents and what you're working on with subconscious reprogramming, okay? Now, when you change your belief system, you are affecting your chakras in either better energy flow or worse energy flow in whatever aspect you're working on. And it's my opinion that we should always address the most quote-unquote primitive chakras first before moving on up the energy chain. The books that I've written, or that I should say have come to me understanding, they go into detail about this very, very deep. If you guys are interested in me putting the second book up on YouTube, I can do that. I just haven't yet. It's been a long time since I've worked on it. Now, just like with meditating, it is easier to focus on physical things before focusing on more abstract things like ideas. So they say when you begin meditation, you're supposed to visualize something in your head and focus on that particular thing as deeply as you can until everything else fades away and you are that thing. You become that thing and you get to know that thing much better. And then once you get really good at that, you focus on abstract ideas like maybe a deity or happiness or something like that. And the level of meditation goes deeper, your level of enlightenment goes deeper. But to get back at the topic at hand, any kind of spiritual practice is best to focus on what you can do with your physical body first. So pranayama, fasting, and yoga all put you in direct control of energy through the use of the physical body. And these things are included in any breatharian initiation or spiritual cleansing for that matter. A lot of spiritual cleansing talks about juice fasts and water fasts, etc. And we'll get to that. So what happens when you fast? Fasting means abstaining from something. You can fast from anything to break your ties with it. You can fast from alcohol, you can fast from food, whatever. But more specifically, what happens when you take away the energy source that your physical body is most used to utilizing is what we talk about when we're saying fasting traditionally. And of course, breatharianism as well. So let's talk about genetics for just a second. It is more new age to talk about genetics, but genetics do pop up in most conversations at some point. And that is because it is becoming more normal to mention that your genetics tell your body how to use energy, whether it's building more muscle, fighting cancer, growing hair, holding on to fat, etc. And the New Age spirituality that we are approaching encroaches on the idea that your belief system affects physicality to include your own genetics. So, what does that mean? In other words, you can change how your body works by changing or activating your own DNA. I'm sure you guys have run across meditations talking about activating the 12 strands of DNA, right? So, much is to be said about this at another time. You'll find many guided meditations doing just this. In any case, it is common to hear people talking about obesity being in their family, as is diabetes, heart disease, etc. However, we must consider that most people in a family share similar habits, right? If you grew up in a family where every single Monday you guys have fried chicken, every single Wednesday you have pizza, well, you can see how those habits become common and they might follow you through life. Nature versus nurture, right? So if we take a family of obese people and take one out into a different setting, they often take a different path. And I want you to ask yourself, is it because they changed their habits only? Changing habits is changing our belief system. So that alone may change one's DNA as well, if you think about it in the deeper levels. Now, in either case, science already supports the idea that different families have genetics that make them excel at certain things and not others, right? Along those lines, some families can live longer times without food naturally than others. It is this type of family that I grew up with, so did Wanagi, and we also had many bad food choices in the family. Now, this has led to most of us being overweight at times and also able to put on muscle. It's kind of like a 50-50, benefit versus downside. And other times we actually lose weight quite quickly. So it is my belief that families that can already survive longer without food have genetics that might make it possible to become breatharian easier. So what happens when you go through a breatharian initiation with these genetics? Well, the answer is that it does not fix the obesity propensity. It actually means that you can and should eat less than you did before, or you will likely hold on to even more fat. I experienced this. I went through a couple of breatharian initiations years ago. I had a lot of success doing it, and then my life changed, and I went to a different job where they fed me very, very, very well. And when I say well, I don't mean good food. I mean unhealthy food, and a lot of it. So I put on a lot of weight. Now I've just now gotten out of that job, back into my old job again, and I can focus on my spirituality and my overall health. So that is one of the reasons why I'm doing this video. So in other words, it may actually be easier for us who have the genetics to put on weight to live the breatharian lifestyle than a family who is naturally thin and eats constantly. I have a buddy of mine who is completely lean, probably 10 or 8% body fat, and he has to eat several times a day. During work shift, he just eats like every hour. So for him, going without a meal is like torture. So fasting is very difficult for naturally lean families, okay? So in other words, if you are overweight and you are trying to find a way to find a lifestyle that works for you, this might be the answer for you, okay? So fasting teaches a traditional form of fasting. It teaches your body to change its main energy source from glucose to other things like ketone bodies. So glucose is made in the liver from glycogen, which is stored energy. And as your blood glucose goes down, when you're not eating, your liver has to put blood glucose back up so that your brain can function and basically you can think and act normal. Now, when you run out of the energy source in your liver called glycogen, your blood glucose keeps going down, 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 and you start getting brain fog and a lot of the other symptoms that happen to your body when you change the fuel source. So there are a few different systems and programs happening simultaneously, so we're not going to go into the nitty-gritty details. That'll be too much for you guys to enjoy, okay? If you do want details, let me know, and I can describe them, hopefully in a way that will be easy to digest. Yes, pun intended. So the bottom line is that when you go without food, the blood glucose goes down steadily as the glycogen in your liver is converted into glucose to feed your brain. And there are even some diseases, you're not at ease, that entail a person having trouble storing glucose. So there are some people who have genetic issues and their liver cannot store glycogen. So again, we're talking about genetics in the science thing. Now, so After you go without food or carbohydrates long enough to deplete the glycogen in your liver, your brain starts to notice the change in fuel, and you go through many whole being symptoms, meaning all four of your energy bodies or all four of your bodies. But your liver begins to break called ketone bodies that your brain and muscles can use, both of them. Now, the very worst symptoms that you can have happen during this transition phase when changing from glucose to ketone bodies as a fuel source. So if you are in this transition phase, the best thing you can do is force yourself over this transition hump. And you can do this by a couple of ways. Number one, you can do it by sleeping. On most spiritual retreats where cleansing is involved, sleeping and resting is a big part of it. Yes, they encourage you to do some gentle yoga, some breathing techniques, go for walks, but sleep as much as you can because you have to get over this hump and it's not very pleasant for anybody, okay? Another thing that you can do, which I like to do, is work out. And I do mean workout. I don't want you to just do a little sissy workout. I want you to work out hard and deplete the glycogen stores in your muscles. Work out as many muscles as you can. Maybe you can go sprinting. Maybe you can do strength training with weights. Maybe you can do a bunch of burpees. It doesn't really matter. But you will get through the glycogen in all of your muscles in your entire body faster. And then you're going to force your body to go from the glucose phase to the ketone body phase much, much, much faster. And the terrible symptoms that you have are going to go away. So I recommend doing a nice hard workout and then sleep as much as you can, okay? The worst thing that you can do during this initial phase is eating anything that can be used for the body to create glucose. And this includes meat. So a lot of people are going to try the ketogenic diet, which is actually not a bad diet at all. I will tell you why I do it in a minute. But when you are going through this first transition phase, anything you eat, including meat, will be broken down and turned into glucose so that your brain will still aim on the glucose source, okay? So ketosis, which is the fat burning phase, takes longer to get into if you eat a keto diet versus fasting. Fasting while working out gets you there the fastest, the most quickly. And I could argue that dry fasting gets you there even faster. Most people say that dry fasting works 3 times as well as water fasting. So if you are dry fasting for 8 hours, it's like fasting for 24 hours. Really speeds up the process a lot. I also want to point out that we all already dry fast. Unless you are sleeping and drinking water at the same time, you are dry fasting every time you go to bed. So the longer you fast, the faster you get into ketosis, and you're already fasting every single night while you sleep. Unless you get up in the middle of the night to drink water, you're dry fasting. So I would recommend that you try not to get up in the middle of the night to drink water. Even if you wake up, go to the bathroom, skip the drink of water, go back to bed, okay? Because you're dry fasting at that point. Now also, fasting has shown to increase human growth hormone. Human growth hormone does a lot of wonderful things to your body that this video will not go into detail about, but it helps you to do autophagy, which means programmed cell death. Basically, your body kills the cells that are no longer helpful, like cancer cells. And it's also proven to show muscle preservation and bone preservation. So basically, human growth hormone is a magical hormone. Bottom line, you can look up ways to boost human growth hormone, but fasting and keto are definitely easy ways to do it. So once you are in ketosis, your body's burning off the fat, no longer using glucose as an energy source, you pretty much can eat again as long as you don't eat many carbohydrates. So your body will continue to use fat as your main energy source. It really does feel different to live in ketosis. It's hard to explain. So I recommend everyone try it. You just kind of need to experience it to understand, okay? Now, there are some other options that are very good to supplement this. I personally like OMAD, 1 meal a day. I still eat keto during this one meal, but I liquid fast the rest of my waking hours. Usually I drink coffee or diet soda or water. If I'm really kind of feeling hunger pangs, I will have milk. But don't extend my dry fast beyond sleeping hours because I am in a comfortable lifestyle. There was a time, Ray Maor talks about it. He says he recommends that you dry fast until noon, and then you might consume some liquids. I like coffee. I do. It's an appetite suppressant. It gives you energy. There's a lot of things to be said about caffeine, but I usually don't dry fast after I wake up. Anyway, after that, you want to find a routine that works for you, you can stick with long term. And speaking of which, if you are going to have carbohydrates, but you want to stay in the ketosis, you should probably have less than 40 grams of carbs in a day, and preferably before working out. So if you are feeling lethargic and you don't want to work out, go ahead and have, some kind of drink, maybe juice or sugar or whatever, soda. It doesn't really matter because you're going to work out. You're going to burn off all of the glucose that goes into your blood at that moment, and you're going to slip right back into ketosis right away, okay? So there's also a large following of people that do feed days or splurge days. I have tried whole days of eating what I want, and I'm never happy with how I feel or look the next couple of days because I have to go through the process again of changing from glucose to ketone bodies. Not to mention you'll put on all kinds of water weight and things in these cheat days. So what I prefer instead to do is eating a carb meal after I work out. I'll do strength training with big compound movements that works a lot of muscles at one time and builds strength and size and allows a carb meal afterward. This method keeps me from all starvation symptoms. So I basically live in keto all the time. And we are going to talk about breatharianism, but I'm just talking about ketosis versus glucose. And I have zero starvation symptoms. I eat once a day. And the days that I work out, I eat a carb meal afterwards. It's great, okay? Now let's talk about what happens when you fast long enough to turn off your stomach. I first experienced this when I was doing my first breatharian initiation because dry fasting was involved. And by far, the best way to turn off your stomach is dry fasting, which again is really just fasting for a longer period of time. So your stomach uses a lot of energy to digest your food. And if you go without food for a long enough time, your stomach actually puts itself to sleep. It is at this time where you actually lose hunger. And as a side effect, you also have a lot more energy because the energy needs of your body have decreased so much. So people often find an even higher boost of energy and need less sleep once the stomach goes to sleep. And you'll also need less liquids because your body is no longer producing as much mucus to digest the food. So you usually find much less mucus production in your nose as well. If you're ever feeling sick, have the sniffles, have allergies, try fasting. It's going to go away fast, quickly. So far, we have spoken about what happens to everyone while fasting or going on keto. This is not spiritual practice based yet. If we do go spiritual, it gets much deeper. Now, in regard to spirituality and breatharianism, you are doing this for much deeper reasons. You are breaking your old limiting beliefs and purifying your energy system. And again, I have many videos on this already, but you are clearing energy blockages, and many techniques like Ho'oponopono help with this. As the process continues, you are healing yourself on multiple levels as well in multiple bodies. So learning how to use energy better and improving the energy flow through your being while you're doing this initiation and prolonging the practice over time. Now, right now, you are receiving energy through all of your chakras, okay? And the energy increases as you get rid of the blockages and increase the flow. And as it does, your whole vibration increases. People talk about vibration a lot. And your vibration is the sense that you're giving out to the universe, okay? And when you increase your vibration, your entire life changes. Things come into your life just by wishing it to be so. So in other words, you develop the ability to manifest without trying. This video is long enough for now. I'm going to do another video probably about the upsides and downsides to breatharianism. But I hope you enjoy this video. I hope it answers some questions. If you have any questions, please comment or email me at rectorarendale@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. Please do hit the subscribe and like buttons if you enjoy the content. And let me know if you have any other subjects you want me to go over. Thanks again. Be well. You know I will.